Good day, viewers. My name's Omozokpia, Davidson, Osagie, a student of economics education, Babcock University, Ogun State, Nigeria. In future, I hope to be a lecturer in one of the institutions of higher learning in Nigeria and internationally, to share my wealth of experience in the financial services industry in the Nigerian economy and impart knowledge to the younger generation. Today, I'll be speaking on a very important topic, banks' distress and economic setback to national development. It is my expectation that the lecture will add to the body of knowledge and engender future discourse on this important critical aspect of our national development. At the end of the lecture, students should be able to explain the phenomenon of bank distress, summarize the causes of bank distress, explain the setback of bank distress on national development, and how to prevent bank future distress. The banking industry is very strategic to the national economy, that virtually everybody is a stakeholder. Banks act as lubricants to the economy and the custodian of the payment system. They therefore impart on every sector of the economy. The intermediation role of mobilizing funds from the surplus to deficit sector of the economy cannot therefore be overemphasized. Banks therefore plays a pivotal role in capital formation for economic growth. Globalization, precipitated by continuous integration of the world market and economies, has contributed to more banks' distress in recent times. Similarly, highly open economies like Nigeria, with weak financial infrastructure, can be vulnerable to banking crisis emanating from other countries that is externally induced. Prior to Nigeria's independence in 1960, not less than 33 different commercial banks were registered in the country. Unfortunately, 22 out of the 33 banks went under between 1951 and 1960. Consequently, by 1959, only 8 banks, 4 expatriate and 4 indigenous, with a total of 160 branches, were operating in Nigeria. A few of the failed banks listed from the CBN Economic and Financial Review 1968 were the Industrial and Commerce Bank, established in 1929, but failed in 1930. The Nigerian Mercantile Bank, established in 1931, but failed in 1936. Bank of Lagos, established in 1959, but failed in 1965. The distress recorded in the 1990s was the most serious in terms of depth and the extent of its impact on the financial system and the economy. The number of distressed banks was only 8 in 1990. However, this figure rose to 24 in 1993 and 60 in 1995. According to Raputa 2004. These authors stated that by the end of December 1995, 52% of the licensed banks were adjudged to be technically insolvent. The banking distress in the 1990s actually became systemic in 1993, leading to massive withdrawals by depositors, and this resulted in the eventual closure of most of the distressed banks during that decade. CBN and NDIC 1995 described a distressed financial institution as one with severe financial, operational, and managerial weaknesses, which have rendered it difficult for the institution to meet its obligation to its customers when due. This inability to meet obligations as at when due often triggers massive credit recourse and withdrawals, which sometimes necessitate Central Bank of Nigeria liquidity support to the affected banks. John, Gianni, and Elena, 2008, stated that banks' crisis can be triggered by weaknesses in banking system, characterized by persistent illiquidity, insolvency, undercapitalization, high level of non-performing loans, and weak corporate governance, among others. According to Alashi 2002, a bank is said to be in severe crisis when a bank shows most or all of the following. 1, gross undercapitalization in relation to the level and character of business. High level of non-performing loans to total loans. Illiquidity as reflected in a bank's inability to meet customers' cash withdrawals and or a persistent overdrawn position with the Central Bank of Nigeria. Low earnings resulting in huge operational losses and weak management as reflected by poor asset quality, insider abuse, inadequate internal controls, fraud, including unethical and unprofessional conduct, squabbles, and a high level of staff turnover, among others. Poor corporate governance, especially among top management staff and board. Uzokwe Namdi, J., and Ohari Chibuikem, S., from their research work, attributed 64.6% of bank failures to political and institutional factors. This is aside from fraud and embezzlement, etc. Anyawa Okoro M. 1996 says that bank distress refers to financial difficulties. A bank is classified as distressed in Nigeria based on CAMEL. Okay, this is based on bank examination rating system. C for capital adequacy, A for asset quality, M for management competence, E for earning strength, and F for liquidity sufficiency. The problem of bank distress has become a major concern to the banking customers, staff of banks, the shareholders, and the government. Despite several attempts made in the past by the supervisory authorities, the menace still continues to surface. The basic questions are, why is the country still susceptible to bank distress? How has bank distress affected the future of banks in Nigeria in particular and the development of the Nigerian economy as a whole? Now I want to look at symptoms and causes of bank distress. Ogunloye 1993, cited in Donley 2004, gives the most common symptoms of bank distress in Nigeria as follows. 1, late submission of returns to regulatory authorities. 2, falsification of returns and rapid staff turnover. 3, frequent top management changes. 4, inability to meet obligations as at when due. 5, persistent adverse clearing position. 6, borrowing at desperate rate. 7, persistent contravention of laid down rules. 8, use of political influence, petitions, and anonymous letters. And 9, overdrawn current account position at the CBN. A study by Kindleberg, 1989 and 1994, showed bank failure results from rapid expansion of bank credit. Palubinska and Stav, 1998, stated that bank crises include legislation, deposit insurance lack of skill, mismanagement, non-performing risk assets, and lack of regulation. The neglect of banking policies or rules and regulations are often fundamental, leading to poor state of health of the banks and contributory factor to banks' distress or failure. Poor treasury management techniques leading to asset and liability mismatches. Poor diversification of banks' portfolio by over-concentration of their loanable funds into very high risk and very high returns transactions whose failure are often catastrophic. Poor and inexperienced internal audit department, resulting in inability to detect weighty exceptions affecting the financial health of the bank and bringing them to the attention of management. Non-independence and lack of protection for the internal auditors of banks due to the overbearing role of most banks' management. Impact on national development. Bank distress usually affects all sectors of the economy. Between 1990 and 1994, Nigerian domestic savings as a percentage of GDP reduced drastically to 6%, and savings to GDP ratio averaged only 11.3% per annum as a result of distress witnessed within the period, according to NANA 2003. Bank distress causes a reduction in availability of investment credit, leading to a fall in the level of output. For instance, manufacturing capacity utilization fell from 8.7% in 1986 to its all-time low level of 5.4% in 1995, according to NANA 2004. Obamuyi, Edun, and Kayode 2012 suggested that there is close relationship between manufacturing capacity, utilization, banking lending ratios, and the growth of the manufacturing output in Nigeria. By Federal Office of Statistics, FOS, 1999 data, distress scenarios in the Nigerian banking industry impairs its ability to attract foreign direct investment, leading to a significant rise in the poverty level in Nigeria. For instance, the core poor in Nigeria increased from 12% of the population in 1985 to 29% in 1996, while the moderately poor rose from 34% to 36% during the same period. On the whole, the national poverty level increased from 46% to 66% between the period 1985 and 1996, according to Eboreme 2007. Loss of jobs leading to unemployment, resulting into fall in aggregate demand and reduction in production levels. Deposit run on the bank, which affects the liquidity and capacity to create further credit to stimulate business growth. The cost of restructuring / recapitalization of the banking system can be enormous and can negatively affect investment in other productive areas of the economy in the short run. The above outcomes stifles investment activities, especially in the rich sectors of the economy, and constrain the rate of capital formation and hence economic development. As FOS 1999 data reveals, the core poor in Nigeria increased from 12% of the population in 1985 to 29% in 1996, while the moderately poor rose from 34% to 36% during the same period. On the whole, the national poverty level increased from 46% to 66% between the period 1985 and 1996. The way forward. Banking business strives on confidence, which should continue to be strengthened by all stakeholders in order to foster national economic growth and development. The following mechanism will help reinforce confidence in the banking sector and the economy in general. The regulatory authorities need to overhaul the oversight function on banks on the financial sector to preempt as much as feasible future distress and boost investors' confidence in the national economy. 2, sound corporate governance, especially among top management and board. 3, strong internal control system. And 4, independent internal audit. Conclusion. In conclusion, the importance of the banking sector to national development cannot be overemphasized. Therefore, it is crucial that all stakeholders, bank staff, management, board, customers, regulatory authorities, and government play their part in ensuring the survival and stability of the financial system as a catalyst to national development and growth of the economy. Thank you.